much, DG. We appreciate your time once again and the insights you have shared. So we go right into the discussion. So next, we'll be looking at the citation of the panelists. I have Mr. Johnson Chukwu, the Managing Director of Cowrie Asset Management Limited. We can see that his camera is on. We call him Elder JC, Sir JC. Welcome and thank you for honoring us with your time. Despite your very busy schedule, I know you are just landing in Abuja or from Abuja, but you still gave us time to be here. Thank you very much. Okay, and we have Mr. Seye Olurotimi, the founder MSME Africa, who has also been doing a lot in the MSME space in Nigeria. Thank you very much. And of course, I have myself here, Funke Medu, the managing consultant of Leapword Limited. You see, we're not just here. Some people have been giving us moral support from the background, even though they may not be very loud, but they are very key to what is happening today. And of course, we have to recognize the presence of Mr. Monday Evans. I call him Mazi, and that's the only Mazi I know, as far as I'm concerned, that is there at Medan. Sir, thank you very much and welcome. Thank you for honoring us with your time, despite your very busy schedule. So we go right to listening to the citations of the panelists. I'm going to share my screen so we can follow their citations. The recordings will be made available to all the people that participated here on the program. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can see that. Okay, so we start with the citation of Mr. Johnson Chukwu.
Mr. Johnson Chukwu is the founder and managing director of Cowrie Asset Management Limited. He is the chairman Standard Alliance Insurance PLC and also the chairman Fidelity Pension Managers Limited and the chairman Virgin Forest Energy Limited. He has a BSc in University of Lagos, MBA Lagos Business School, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Is a fellow to the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, honorary senior member, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, member Institute of Directors. He has attended several courses, including IESE Business School, University of Navarra, Barcelona, Spain, and Wharton Business School, University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, USA. Facilitator with Terrapin, a world leader in business events with offices in London, New York, Singapore, Sydney, Dubai, and Johannesburg, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and the Financial Institutions Training Center, a specialized training institution established by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. He is a regular media commentator on the economy, capital markets, and banking industry. Mr. Seye Olurotimi. He is the founder of MSME Africa, a multifaceted resource platform for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups in Africa. He is the convener of MSME Dialogue, an event for discussing and proffering solutions to issues that affect MSMEs and their operators. He emerged the winner of the Entrepreneur Africa Prize for Media Innovation 2021. Seye is also an international partner, World Business Angel Investment Forum, and a member of the MSME community of practice of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. As a demonstration of his passion for entrepreneurship, Seye is a mentor for Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program, Cherry Blair Foundation Women in Business Program, Faith Foundation Entrepreneurship Program, Leap Africa SIP, Seed Stars Accelerator, and Mentoring Africa Foundation. His unbridled passion for learning facilitation and human capacity development has seen him featured at different platforms and stages cutting across multinationals, big corporates, MSMEs, social enterprises, and faith-based organizations. Funke Susan Medu. Funke brings several years' experience that spans business development, relationship and team management, building and maintaining strategic alliances. She holds a first degree in geology and MBA from the prestigious Lagos Business School, LBS, Pan-Atlantic University in Nigeria, and currently a doctoral research student. She's a fellow Chartered Institute of Public Administrators, an associate member of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, and a licensed human resource practitioner. She's an alumna of China-Europe International Business School and IESE Business School, Spain. She's an associate member of Women in Business and Management. She's an author, a scholar, a sought-after trainer, and guest speaker. Funke sits on the board of a few organizations and strategic committees. She's an alumna of the United States Government Exchange Program for Women Entrepreneurs. She's an accredited World Bank Business Development Support Consultant, a seasoned professional with several years' experience in banking, consulting, and entrepreneurship development. She is a BDS consultant for the World Bank Growth and Employment, Bank of Industry Nigeria, and Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. She is the Pioneer Program Coordinator for CEIBS Wella Program in Nigeria. Funke was an interviewer on the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, MAFITA, UK Aid Accreditation of BDSBS in Nigeria project. She worked on the project to certify staff of SMEDAN and consultants on the MAFITA project. Funke also consulted and trained on the FGN UWIN Connect Youth Enterprise. She is currently a director at Leapford Limited, a management and BDS services consulting, assessment, empowerment, training, and human resource management organization. Funke had ample experience in the banking sector before joining the consulting industry. She worked with the leading banks in Nigeria, Zenith Bank PLC and Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, GT Bank, in different departments and capacities. She was also the country manager, head business development, Nigeria of a consulting firm with head office in Canada. She has pioneered several business units, successfully managed several teams, mentoring and impacting great skills and results. Funke has multi-sectorial work experience and has worked with several thousands of MSMEs and several large enterprises up to top management and board level. Her work experience covers private, NGOs, and government enterprises. Funke is also active in community development. She's a volunteer mentor on the LSETF project to selected MSMEs, a volunteer facilitator for the Ready Set Work, a Lagos State project to prepare students in their final year for the world of work, entrepreneurship, and life outside school. In addition, she was a volunteer financial education trainer with the Financial Literacy for All Project, Nigeria, in collaboration with Commonwealth UK, and a life skills trainer with the Lagos Eco Education Project, World Bank funded. She was also a mentor under the Guarantee Trust Bank PLC staff mentoring scheme and a peer educator with the Health and Life Planning Club, Action Health Incorporated, Lagos.
All right, thank you very much. So we've listened to the citation of We've listened to the citation of the panelists. We have to also let us know that we have highlights by Proche. So Proche has put together some highlights for us. We will come back to Proche's highlight, but before we listen to Proche's highlights, I want us to have a 3 minutes of view of a general opinion and thoughts of our panelists. Then we will share the highlights of our Proche and we hear what others have to say. But you can put your comments in the group. Okay, so I can see that some people are already asking their questions will be addressed. So we start with Sir Johnson Chukwu, Elder JC like we call him, a renowned economist, investor, and business analyst. He's featured on several platforms, locally and internationally. I know we have to squeeze his time today. Probably would have been somewhere analyzing the economy for us. So, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, we'd like you in 3 minutes to give us a general overview. DJ has said a lot of things. We also have some highlights from Proche, but let's listen to you and have your own general thoughts in 3 minutes.
Thank you, Sister Funkemedi Susan, as I also call you. And thank you everyone for who have joined this platform. I'm so proud that we have up to more than 120 people on the platform to listen to us. And hopefully you won't leave here without taking one or two benefit from this conversation. I just give my take on the synopsis of the economy in 2022 as it relates to the small and medium scale enterprises. I was quite happy when I heard the DG speak extensively on the opportunities and what they're doing to support the SMEs, including the women-driven SMEs. So what I will be speaking on, like here, the DG also rightly said, this year, 2022, is going to be a pre-election year, so there'll be a lot of political activities. There'll be heightened political activities in the current year. The heightened political activities mean it will bring some apprehensions in the business environment, but also create some new opportunities. I'm going to dwell so much on the opportunity that we created, particularly relates to the small and medium scale enterprises. I want to start from the area of services. In the current year, you're going to see a lot of people who are in the service industry will be patronized as a result of elevated political activities. People who are into the print media, those who print posters, flyers, those who do things like billboards, those who work on billboards, they will have a lot of patronage this year. I also want to believe that people in the media, both the mainstream media and in virtual media, digital media, also gain a lot. Those of you who are into blogging, there'll be so much opportunities for you to make money in the current year. And then those in the mainstream media, those in advertising, graphic artists, there will be opportunities for you to make money this year because there's so much demand as a result of political activities. Areas that will also draw a lot of attention are those in the food and beverage industries. You are going to see a lot more people that will be employed that we are previously not employed, and they're going to get some regular income, even if you call it stipends, on a daily basis as political activities increase. So that means those who are into food and food products will have a lot of patronage. Those who are into clothing, those who do aswebi, those into tailoring, they will have a lot of patronage. Those who make t-shirts that will have the pictures and the names of parties and contestants, they blossom on them, will also see a lot of patronage. So across the entire value chain of the small and medium scale enterprise, I think they're going to see a lot more patronage than we saw the previous year. Agricultural sector, those who are into basic food production, those who are into food packaging, you should expect some level of patronage this year, improved patronage. Those into logistics that will help people move goods and items from one location to the other should also expect a lot of patronage. I actually have 3 minutes, but as we progress the conversation, I will speak a lot more on the opportunity areas in the current year.
Thank you very much, Sir Johnson Chukwu, Elder JC. Mr. Seye Olurotimi, I know you've done a lot of analysis recently, but so let's bring it home. Let's bring it to our ecosystem. So Mr. Johnson Chukwu said a few things, and he really made it very practical, things that, like I'll say generally, when we are talking all the big grammars, macroeconomic indices, inflation, interest rates, exchange rates, talking, at the end of the day, what the man and woman in the market wants to know is, how does it affect the price of crayfish in the market? So I like the way he broke them down into things we can run and identify with. So in 3 minutes, let's have your own thoughts as per the general overview of the economy as regards MSMEs.
Okay, so thank you so very much once again. And pretty much what I want to say has been said by the DG and of course, Mr. Chukwu. But let me also talk around some drivers that I think will affect what happens within the MSME space in 2022. Like everyone has rightly said, election year is 2023. So a lot of activities this year, there will be a lot of money in the economy because of electoral activities. And what that means is that you have a lot of money around. And so those who can actually capitalize on that should do that. People that are into printing and branding, like he rightly said, will benefit from that. We also need to look at the issue of petroleum subsidy, right? Yesterday, it was announced that the subsidy will not be removed anymore, at least it has been postponed indefinitely. What that means is that, that decision is worth about 3 trillion naira because the cost of subsidy for this year, I think is around 3 trillion. So what it means is that we have less money for capital expenditure. That money is going to be spent on subsidy. Does it have good side? Sure. Because if the subsidy has been removed, there will be a lot more cost. So MSME will have had to battle with inflation. As at last week thereabout, the inflation rate was 16%. If that subsidy has been removed, we'll be talking of something around 20 or there, but there will have been a lot of problem with inflation. That will have shot up the cost for MSMEs. But because that has not happened, so we expect some stability in regards to inflation and what have you. So that's another thing that we should look at. We also should look at the fact that the Finance Act 2020 has now been passed, right? So that means that for some players in the MSME sector, especially the micro guys who do less than 25 billion, they won't be, they're not liable to pay VAT and company income tax. So that's some sort of relief, but some taxes are also coming through the back door. So if you're doing Facebook advert, for instance, you're going to be paying 7.5% tax if you're using Zoom. So those are some of the costs that MSMEs will have to bear this year. And of course, there is a 10% 10 naira tax on carbonated soft drinks. So all of this, of course, will affect our cost as micro, small, and medium enterprises. So some taxes you will not pay, but some are coming through the back door, so to say. Then another thing is that there will be a lot of foreign direct investment in the tech sector, and that is not new. We had a lot of that last year, in the last 5 years, and we're going to have a lot more of that. So the guys in the fintech sector, edtech, and what have you, they will have a lot more fund coming. And I'm happy we are talking now about the startup bill. So the startup bill is also another factor that will affect what happened within the space this year. We are talking about it, we are discussing it now. Whatever comes out of that would actually affect both the players and the beneficiaries within the MSME space. Of course, startups are not traditional MSMEs, but a lot of them still fall within the 1 billion bracket, and so they are still MSMEs. If that bill is passed and the provisions are favorable, of course, all the players in that space and the beneficiary will have a reason to smile. So I think those are pretty much the things I can talk about now. I'm sure in the course of the discussion, we'll touch on another thing. Then, of course, the after implementation, that's the continental free trade area. The DG said that MSMEs contributed about 46% to our GDP, but sadly, only about 6% to importation. So let's hope that with the implementation of after this year, we're able to do a lot more around exportation. We're able to export a lot more because that will really benefit us. But for us to be able to export more, we need to be competitive. Whatever I'm selling here, if I'm pushing it to Gambia, I'm pushing it to Ghana, and the cost is more than what they will get over there, that will not be competitive, right? So after implementation will have a lot of effect on us. Startup bill will have a lot of effect on us. Petroleum subsidy and what have you. So let me stop here for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seye Olurotimi. You've given us a lot of data and insight. So like you said, we come into the discussion. So I would like to just share some highlights from ProShare that they have put together for us. So
Leap World Limited. As a multi-sectorial business development consulting firm, we offer a wide range of services, including consulting, human resource services, trainings, SME services, NGO support services, Leap World Academy, Co-work Hub, Leap World Media, and insurance. We are boarded with renowned experts in the field. Our clients range from oil and gas companies, small businesses, to large corporations. We are in strategic alliance with numerous organizations, including Bank of Industry, LSETF. Connect with us on social media at Leap. Contact us at 080-235-05821. Visit our website at www.leapworldgroup.com. Leap World Limited, high performance solutions.
So much, and a lot was said from that from what Smedan has said, from what the panelists have given us as their general overview, and listening to the highlights of ProShare. I saw a whole lot popping up here. Okay, so talking about a lot that has been said, so we need to even take time to digest. So don't worry, for the people that joined the program, we're going to make the highlight by ProShare available to us. Okay, so we will not have a problem with assessing that. So Mr. Johnson Chukwu and Mr. Seye, I'm coming back to you. Okay, so let's have some questions for you. Mr. Johnson Chukwu, are you there? I don't know if you can
Yes,
hear
I'm
me.
here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm ready for. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you too. I'm Mr. Seye Olurotimi. Can you hear me also?
Definitely, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. So a lot has been said, but you know, for me, at the end of the day, I say, all these things we are seeing, how does it affect the price of crayfish in the market? I particularly like the fact that ProShare also dedicated some part of their reviews to really say, how does it affect MSMEs? All these microeconomic indices we are looking at and dissecting, looking and talking about, how does it really affect the regular person doing businesses out there? And the first one that was jumping at me, I looked at lending. You know, they did the analysis. So I'm going to start with the one that concerns how we get money in the small business. Okay, I don't know if we are still here. Okay, so if we look at how we get monies in the small business space, I looked at the analysis of interest rates. I heard the analysis on inflation, and I'm like, okay, inflation one side, interest rates on the other side, and sources of funds on another side for MSMEs. So let's look at that. The analysis said that MSMEs might struggle for funding, because this is election period. If you look at government deficits, they plan to fund a lot from the domestic borrowing. Okay, so for a lot of us joining us out there, we are going to make the discussion very simple and basic. And that's why we're intentionally not going into the big heavy words that Mr. Johnson is talking about when he's talking, doing analysis at CNN. Let's bring it to the basic, relatable. Okay, so the next which the lending institutions will give us money, interest rates. Okay, if we are borrowing money from them, we're going to struggle. And they said government is looking at funding a lot of the deficit from the budget, even from domestic borrowing. So we are going to be competing to get money from the local banks together. You know, so that's a challenge for me. What would be your thoughts, Mr. Seye, if you marry inflation rising astronomically? Okay, so if I buy something yesterday at 10 naira, and I should put up my mind that if I'm going to the market tomorrow, this thing might be selling for 11 naira. Is that serious? And I need money to do my business. And I'm hearing that it might be challenging for me to even get money to support what I want to do. So how do we need to survive as small businesses? What should we do? How do we marry this? Please, let's hear your perspectives on, you know, marrying inflation, looking at interest rates, and how MSME in the areas of funding.
Okay, so
I think we have a challenge with someone's mic.
There is. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes.
That's some background noise. Okay, I think we're fine now. There's a background noise coming from somewhere. Okay, so talking about inflation, funding, interest rate, unemployment rate, I will agree with you that those are really, really big problems, and those are issues we actually be so concerned with. And with that analysis from ProShare, MSMEs might still struggle to get money from the banks, right? So the thing is this, as at now, the inflation rate is about 16%, right? And so that's a source for concern. But even the average Nigerian would tell you that it's a lot more than that based on experience. So I buy something today for 10 naira and tomorrow is 12 naira. I know of a particular client that we are working for. I mean, apart from the MSMEs, I do some other things. And as of yesterday, we're thinking of doing a refund to them because the cost of providing that service for them is a lot higher now from the time we got the LPO, right? And I'm saying, if I go ahead and do this for you, I will not make profit, I will make a loss. So can I do a refund? Now the person was like, hey, we never seen this kind of thing before. Everybody's asking for business. But right now, I get the raw material today for 20 naira and it's going for 30 naira tomorrow. And I've billed the client 28 naira. So that's a big problem that we need to really, really address. The inflation rate is so overwhelming. And that is a big problem that we need to solve. And I think the government needs to help us in that area. Because if this persists, there will be a lot of problem. And then trying to get funding too has always been a challenge. But I will always advise MSMEs, don't start with trying to borrow from a bank. If you can avoid it at the beginning, start with what we call bootstrapping. Get money from family and friends to start your business. Because if you start with getting a loan from a bank, you might just end up working for them. All you try to do is try to pay the interest and pay back the capital at the end of the day, all right? So as much as possible, try to bootstrap where you're starting, get money from family and friends. But as much as we are saying people are not getting funding, we also need to know that those guys in the tech space are getting funding. So we need to ask ourselves questions. What are they doing? If you go on the news today, you find out that this particular startup has gotten $1 million in funding, another one has gotten 2 million. So what are they doing right? It's because they have what I call a playbook, right? They know what the investors, the venture capitalists and the angel investors are looking for. They are willing to cede some part of their business for other people. But the traditional MSME wants to own 100% of a 5 million naira business. And they want to hold on to it as if their whole life depends on it. And with that, you will not get the right kind of funding. You might just get funding that you have to be paying every month. And at the end of the day, the business will not expand. So look at the right kind of funding. Drive your business with technology because business with technology are getting a lot more funding. And we also need to talk to our banks, right? As at 2020, based on a survey from PwC, we had a 617 million funding gap for MSME, 617 billion funding gap for micro, small, and medium enterprises. But sadly, you know, that figure was just 3% of what the bank loaned out to their customers. What it means is that only 3% of what the banks are giving out is what the MSMEs are looking for, they are not able to get. So it's either the banks are not giving them the loan or the MSMEs are not meeting up the condition. And I will gladly tell you that it's actually from both sides. MSMEs, some MSMEs are not keeping the proper books. They don't have character, they don't have the competence, they don't have collateral, they don't have all the things that the banks are asking for. On the other side, the banks are more comfortable lending to the big ticket players who will end up becoming outcomes property at the end of the day. So the bank should help us, the government should help us, then MSMEs too should also keep proper books and meet up the requirement to access this fund. Thank you.
Mr. Seye Olurotimi, the banks should help us. Okay, so we need to bring the banks into this conversation. I'm happy that Smidan is here. We have DG here, and we have Mr. Evans here too. So we have to keep talking to the banks, and that advocacy has to continue. Because like you rightly said, and if we look at the highlights from ProShare, there might be a big struggle for us to access funding. And we need funding to support our business. But I mean, you've also shared some insight and practical things that we should be doing as small businesses. Mr. Johnson Chukwu, I don't know if you are still here. I'm trying to find you. Mr. Johnson, okay.
I found myself.
All right, thank you very much. So we saw the highlights of ProShare, and we saw the highlights of what DG has said and Mr. Seye Olurotimi. So looking at it from your side, you know, he has addressed some concerns around interest rates, what we should be doing. And I'm also glad that ProShare gave us some practical steps, some specific things they said you do, given the implications. So from your side, looking at it from exchange rates, Nigeria is a mono-economic country, if we look at it, and we're heavily dependent on importation. Now, on one hand, we're struggling to get funding, okay? Even government is going to the same domestic market that we borrow from. Okay, so naturally, banks want to go to the safer area, sovereign entity, which is the country. And, Mr. Seye said, either the banks are not giving the money to the small businesses, or small businesses are not meeting up. Okay, so we'll talk about how the meeting up part, but let's even go to people that importing into the country. So looking at the exchange rate, okay, and looking at how it might be challenging for us to borrow money, what would be your thoughts if we look at the global economy? What should we be doing? How can we cope? Looking at the fact that we are struggling to get funding, even locally, and we have to import a lot of things into the country, even to be able to work with our produce as manufacturers here. So what would be your thoughts? What policies do you think the government has been in place from your own analysis? Or what do you think we can leverage on for the different things, options on the table to help small businesses to survive? Let's have your thoughts in that area. And let's marry it to how we can even get funding to even support our importations.
Okay, thank you. One of the things I would say as it relates to funding or getting access to FX, that we have to be quite ingenious, we have to be quite innovative as small and medium scale businesses. And one of the ways to be innovative, there are several things we import into the country, there are alternatives within the local market that have not been developed. I would tell you for one, for free, that Nigeria's FX scarcity is not about to go away in the next couple of years. We've had debt with it for the past 50 years or thereabouts. We've had different methods of allocation of FX since the era of what they call import licensing to today, and we've not solved that because we're not really diversify our export earnings. So, but the small and medium scale enterprises, for them to survive and continue to thrive, that you need to begin to look at, are there alternative input material or item or what I use that can be manufactured locally? You have to look at that, and that will also create you opportunity for what we call backward integration. So you need to go back and also produce the raw materials. And when you do that, take for instance people who are doing cassava, you also look at, can I also process my product into better value beyond what I currently produce? So if, for instance, those who are into farming, you can look at, can I convert the cassava into starch? And what's the additional investment I need to make to produce starch instead of hoping to import starch? Or can I just buy cassava from farmers and convert it to starch instead of waiting to import starch? So the key thing for me as in advising SMEs is to look at the opportunities that you can actually create import substitution or even create export products from local raw materials, and they are available in several areas we can go to in that area. Then taking it to beyond that and the issue of accessing funding, I think she hasn't talked about the opportunities that SMEs can access funding, start from your own equity to your family and friends, which is the core of your assessing credit. I want to go further and ask us to look at our own self-profiling. Let's profile ourselves as SMEs and determine, are we really proper and fit to access funding? The first thing you need to look at your self-assessment. Am I in a position to access funding? And one of the challenges that the SMEs have is that they don't even understand the way the financial system works. Probably you need some money that is going to be for 5 years, and you're asking the bank to give you overdraft. And they see through that because of the lack of knowledge, they can't advance you overdraft, which is a 30-day or 60-day or 90-day facility for a transaction that will take 1 or 2 years to begin to spend cash. So you need to have a proper understanding of how the finance system works. What are the options that you have to access funding? What are the different options beyond going to a bank to ask for commercial loans? There are opportunities in the Bank of Industries. There are several opportunities from CBN intervention funds that a lot of SMEs are not even aware of. 2, you have to strengthen your own financial record keeping purposes, platforms. A bank is asking you, okay, how much was your turnover? How much did you make? You can't just say, I think I made 100 million. You should be able to show by records that for every sale you made, you recorded it. For every purchase you made, you recorded it. That's what I'm saying, that there's need for SMEs to imbibe the culture of record keeping. Record keeping will enable those who are willing to lend to you to have empirical evidence of what you are doing. 3, you have to also look at, how do I bring in people? How do I strengthen my management and governance structure? How can I bring people who have skills to come and either as sounding board, in that case, you bring them as your advisors or board members. So you broaden your ownership structure, you broaden your management structure, you broaden your knowledge of leadership, and you also broaden your reach. So that will give anybody who's giving you money and assurance that, look, if for any reason you are sick or not feeling well, there's somebody I can talk to and I get my money paid back. You need to put these governance structures. They don't need to be so elaborate. Get people who are like-minded, get people you call as your mentors to come on your board, as sounding board, as people who will advise you. They will also help you open doors. That way, when you go to financial institution and say, look, I have Funke Medu as my board member, they say, I know Funke, so I can give you money because I know Funke understands what managing a business is. So that is also necessary. So you have to look at, 1, do you understand finance? 2, do you have proper record keeping? So if you have that, you'll be able to go to the bank and say, look, it's not just about create your bank statement, let me see. The bank wants to know you have some records. 3, do you have people who can help you broaden your knowledge and management, who can sometimes handhold you, who can serve as a sounding board? These are some of the things a lender or a fund provider is looking at. There are several opportunities for funding. If you put yourself, if you have what we call overwhelming business proposal, if your business is so compelling, people will put money in your business. And that is why we're getting private equity funds coming into the IT sector of this economy. Your business, you are producing starch, you are producing hairs, you are producing this, they still put a lot of opportunity, but you have to put some structures around it. So anybody who doesn't sleep and wake up with you in the same house can also say, this is how this business is and I can put money in it. Thank you. I'm sorry, I may need to take my leave after this because I am running late for another engagement. I thought this program would finish by 11.
Okay, thank you very much. We heard you. And thank you very much. Before you leave, I would just like you to give an opinion on something. Thank you very much. I'll come back to Mr. Seye Olurotimi. So Mr. Johnson Chukwu, thank you for that promo. Yes, I'm available for coming on board, but we'll talk about that when they come. And Mr. Johnson Chukwu is also on our own advisory board anyway. So thank you for that insight. One thing someone asked, and I will ask Mr. Olurotimi as well. He said, from your own assessment, do you think MSMEs, from the highlights we've read, from the reviews, do you think MSMEs will be worse off or better off in this year? So you can quickly let's have your view. And if you think they'll be worse off, what would make them worse off? What can they do to survive? If you think they'll be better, what are the things they should look out for to help them then before you take your leave? Thank you. Okay,
I think for SMEs that are well managed, they're better off. The opportunities for patronage is going to increase. I had mentioned earlier in my opening comments that virtually all segments of the SMEs will have higher patronage because cash will come into the hands of people who were not previously employed and they want to consume most of the things that SMEs produce. I've also talked about the need for SMEs to look at opportunities within the economy to either integrate upwards or downwards, or what you call backward integration or forward integration. What that is, either you are going back to produce the raw materials you need for your business, or you are producing the final producing your product into a better finished product. This opportunity will be there. The economy is, Nigerian economy is one economy that has no single sector that has matured. Every sector puts very strong growth opportunities, but you must be quite innovative and creative in assessing it. I think the thing for SMEs is to look out for those opportunities in the economy. They are irrespective of whatever they tell you about the Nigerian economy, opportunities are still there for people to become big. And I must not fail to mention this. Every big business you have in this country started as a small and medium scale enterprise, including Dangote. Dangote was basically selling products, but today Dangote is the richest person in Africa. Absalman Rabi started selling products. It's one of the richest in Africa. So today, there's no business that started as a conglomerate. They all started as small and medium scale enterprises and grew into what they have to do. So I can assure you your business has strong prospects to become the next Dangote in the next 20 years. Thank you all and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we will become the next Dangote, maybe not 20 years. We want to even be there. Thank you very much for that insight and encouragement, Mr. Johnson Chukwu. Yes, we know you'll be taking your leave. We'll put all the questions that are directed to you and we will come back to you. Thank you very much. So I have you. We'll have a conversation, Mr. Seye Olurotimi and I. So we are going to be having a conversation, and please let your question roll. Let me give you my own thoughts, okay, as we continue. So I was also going through some of the highlights, and I was looking at things around VAT. I was looking at things around unemployment rates going up astronomically. I was looking at the issues around inflation jumping out of control, and I was looking at a lot of things. And I said to myself that if we look at the figures out there, like some of my friends will say, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics report in conjunction survey with SMEDAN 2017 made it known to us that we have 41.7 million MSMEs in Nigeria. And if you also look at the highlights of what ProShare also did, over 90% of them are in the micro space. So let's step a bit back to do a bit of education. So we now have, if you look at the SMEDAN 2021 to 2022 MSME policy, and it's available on their website. So I'll encourage us to go there and look for those documents. There are a lot of documents that can help us in shaping directions. We now have a new classification of small businesses called nano businesses. So for people that have 1 to 2 staff, me, myself, limited, employed by myself, so they're under the category of nano enterprises. And if you have between 3 to 9 employees, you are recognized as micro businesses. If you have 10 and up to 49, so we regard you as small businesses, okay? And if you have 50 to less than 200, so we see you as medium enterprises. Yes, there are also classification around the turnover, okay? There are also classification around the asset size, but we usually focus for impact purpose on the number of employments we've generated. Yes, so looking at that, if most people in this category of small businesses are even the micro, so that means we have them with maybe me, 1, 2 people. Then if we take it to even the micro enterprises, maybe doing up to less than 10 employees. And these are the people that are really out there. And I said to myself, how do we support this and this large number of people? And that's why we're even having this conversation, so that we can take a lot away from here. So talking about the VAT, now that even people in the tech space, there's been a policy direction to even start taxing them. You watch out for people that are doing even Facebook ads. Now Facebook will put VAT in your charges. It wasn't there before. This is actually going to increase our cost. I'm happy that during from the highlights of ProShare said, and I'm also in that boat with them, that we have to look at our costs. Cost. You see, sales. So if you look at what we call top line, if you look at your sales, if I can't do so much about what I am selling, I can look at the middle and say, what can I do with my cost? And that's going to help me with my bottom line, which is going to help my profit. So talking about that, Mr. Seye, I'm coming to you on our conversation. Okay. Now, what are the increased cost item areas from this economic overview that you think we need to watch out for as MSMEs? Okay, so areas like maybe VAT, but now look at the Finance Act, and I'm happy you touched that when you were speaking earlier. What are these basic takeaways that we can take, as our own low-hanging fruits to run with as small businesses that can help us? So what are the things from the specific things in the Finance Act we can leverage on that the law says, oh, you don't have to do it, and that can help us help our costs? Okay, what are the specific things? Yeah, cost, please, what are these things? How can we manage VAT, for example? What are the things I should look out for in the economic overview to survive as a small businesses that can help me look at my costs based on the things that governments are saying? If I can't borrow money, I can't get money easily, maybe I can manage what I have. So I would like to have your thoughts in that area.
Okay, so like I always say to MSMEs around me, you have a lot more control over your costs than over your revenue, and that's the fact. You might not be able to determine who comes to patronize you and how much sale you can make. You might not have total control over that, but you can have control over your costs. So we need to start seeing our businesses like that. You have a lot more control over your costs than your revenue. That should sink in. And also we need to start looking at what are those costs that I don't even need to incur anymore. So sometimes ago, I think about 2 years, one of my friends who runs a small business was talking on Facebook that he was happy and that he started his business as I think he had just one employee at the beginning of the year. And at the end of that year, he had 44 employees. And everybody was clapping for him. They were commending him. They were congratulating him. And because I know the background, I know that this guy does not need to have as much as 44 employees at that time. So as a small business owner, because you think the sign of breakthrough and that you are doing well is that the first thing you want to do is to employ a PA, employ a secretary. Instead of employing the people that will bring in more revenue, you're employing people that will further give you overhead, right? That's a problem. Because you might not just need that PA, you might not need that secretary at that time, but because you want to appear big, you start employing, and your salary bill at the end of the month is shooting up. That's a big problem we need to watch out for. So let's cut down our costs. The cost is going to come up, like the VAT thing that we're talking about. So if you run a Facebook ad, which I think almost a large percentage of MSMEs do, you're going to incur that cost. If you use a Zoom account that you pay for, you're going to incur that cost. If you take carbonated soft drinks, you're going to incur, there's an extra tax on that one. And even if you're not directly paying those taxes, they will always be passed on to you, right? So when the cost is increased for someone and you are buying from that person, you also become part of that. And so when it becomes laughable when people are saying, after all, I'm not importing, so I'm not going to be affected by Forex. We are an import-dependent economy. A lot of people still import their raw materials for production from abroad. So that would further shoot up their cost, and you are going to be buying from them at a higher cost. So we all need to put our hands on the deck and say, what can we do to reduce our costs as individuals, as separate organizations? You need to cut down your cost. This is the era of remote work, but I still see a lot of people who still want to go and get big offices. And I'm asking myself, what do you need it for? So that people will think you have arrived? No. You can still run your business and have all your staff virtual. You might not have seen them before, and you are doing business and you are making money. I know some companies that made bigger profit in 2020 and 2021 in the midst of COVID because they weren't paying for offices, they weren't paying for diesel, they weren't paying for a lot of things. So let's look at where we can cut down our costs in this area, because VAT is coming. VAT is going to be paid on some things. And then the company, the Finance Act of 2021 has also provided some sort of succor to the small business owner. The Finance Act 2021 says if you're doing less than 25 million, that means you fall in the micro bracket. You're not going to pay, you're not expected to charge VAT. You're not also expected to pay company income tax. What that means is that you're able to save your profit, right? Instead of paying tax. But you also need to learn how to manage what you're making. You need to learn how to do more of business development, right? So let's concentrate all our effort towards bringing in more clients, getting a new business. Like somebody said something on one of the program by Leapword. I think that was Dr. Adedipe. He said at every particular point in time, you should have a business that you're chasing. You should have an invoice that you're about to issue out. You should have. So there must never be a point where you are just not chasing the business, or where you are not expecting some money to come into your business. So let's focus more attention on business development and getting in money as MSMEs, instead of incurring costs on office space, incurring costs on employing people that you don't need, and trying to play to the gallery. Funke is muted.
Okay, yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So whilst you were talking, I was also trying to share some of the highlights from Sweden, from ProShare. And that part that we're talking about VAT, I kept reeling out so that we can drive the message home that this is the period costs will go up. It's just to let us know as MSMEs that this is the period our costs will likely go up. And we can see some implications from what even ProShare has said. The interesting thing, thank you very much, Mr. Seye, for those insights. And I will not also forget that thing that Dr. Adedipe said. It was during our program, UN MSME Day last year, June. And for people that didn't join, you can go and check for that recording online on our social media handles. It was very, very insightful. And he gave practical things we must do. In fact, Mr. Seye, I had to write it on the doors of the staff to let them know that we must be chasing. In fact, it became part of the regular KPIs in our meetings that, okay, what transaction are we working on? What are you, who are you talking to? I found it very, very relatable. Okay, so I'm looking at another insight from the project, what they have said. And I'm looking at specific things and strategies they said we can employ. And I want you and I to have a conversation around that. MSME should target the growing markets of the youth, as well as the budding markets in fast-growing cities such as Nnewi, Abuja, Uyo, and Port Harcourt. I'll come to that because I have some questions here that I also want to tie to this. So one question here is that we're saying we should look at the fast-growing market of the youth. These youths, a lot of them, and if you look at the statistics, are unemployed. Unemployment rate has also skyrocketed. So if you look at disposable income, and the project person also said that, well, he puts it in like asterisk that, well, that's another discussion for another day, disposable income. So what are the opportunities? I'm looking at the youths. They will say our population is also on the rise. Population can either be a curse or an opportunity, depends on how we position it. So we can have jobless large population that are causing unrest and insecurity issues around there. We can also see them as an opportunity. But again, I'm seeing them as an opportunity. And I'm also looking at disposable income. How would they patronize me? Where would they get the funding to support what I have there? So let's explain this first outline. MSME should target the growing markets of the youths. So where are the growing markets of the youths? Let's make it very practical.
So Nigeria.
And the budding markets in fast-growing cities, such as Nnewi. Please, what are the things I now know that, this place, should I start sending my shoes to Nnewi now? Or what exactly are these opportunities in this area? You have the floor.
Okay, great. So let's talk about youth. So there has been various definitions of youth, but ideally people will agree that if you are between 18 and 35, thereabout, you are classified as youth, right? And whether we want to agree with it or not, Nigeria is a very youthful population. We have a large percentage of the population as youth, and that population should be a blessing to us. It should not be a curse. One major advantage that China enjoys is its population, right? And that's why they have a lot of factories set up in China, because people can come there to manufacture. Even if the original manufacturer is in another country, they can always get labor in China. They can site their factories in China. So the same thing with Nigeria. And let me just to corroborate this, there's a report by Faith Foundation in 2021 talking about the state of entrepreneurship. And it says most businesses in Nigeria are youth-led, 67%, with an increasing number of businesses being female-led, 43%. So 67% of businesses in Nigeria are youth-led, right? So we need to understand that there is a change and we need to adjust to it. So when you look at the businesses that are doing well now, so you see you see a fintech that is worth more than 35 banks in Nigeria right now, and they don't have up to 500 employees. So when you start mentioning the likes of Kuda, you start mentioning the likes of Flutterwave, and you see what they have done in less than 10 years, compared to what banks that have been 50, 60 years are doing in terms of volume, in terms of how much capital they have, then you will understand why these guys have taken over. And the guys running these companies, they are in their 20s, in their 30s. All right, so the youths are on the rise. And I actually like the fact that government is also recognizing that. That's why they are even talking about the startup bill, because most of the guys promoting this are youth, right? And I want to believe we're going to bring something out of it. Apart from that, the guys who get all the funding, they are youths, and they know what to do with the money. So the traditional MSME should start learning from these startup guys who are more youthful. Talking about the fact that we need to start looking at other cities like Nnewi, Abuja, Uyo, and Port Harcourt. That report by Faith Foundation also corroborates this. And it said that states such as Abia, Bauchi, Edo, Gombe, Kwara, Jigawa, Oyo, and Lagos have more female than male-led businesses. And they're also witnessing more businesses in those places. So Lagos is not Nigeria. There are some people who are in Lagos and will probably do well in Oyo, in Owerri, in Nnewi, because their cost will be a lot lower. You get an office space for 5 million in Lagos, you can get it for 1 million in another place. And because of the digital space where we operate now, there might be no difference. Some people will not even know that you're not in Lagos, because you can communicate with them on Facebook, you can communicate with them in the digital space, you can hold meeting with them on Zoom. So why do you want to bear costs that you can save if you go to other places? So for the ones that are discerning, they are actually trying to move their operation to these places. And that is also LD for the likes of Lagos and other places that are overpopulated, because that means that there won't be as much pressure on those places as possible. Now you can have a job with an employer in Lagos and be working from Enugu, from Nnewi, from Sokoto, from anywhere, because a lot of employers now understand that you can work remotely and still be productive. So that involves actually a shift in thinking. The traditional thinker will still not want to adjust to it. I still have people who have issues with holding virtual meetings. So people say, they want to have a meeting with me and say, let's have a Zoom meeting. And they say, no, we need to come to your office and see you. Those days are over, right? You can stay anywhere and work anywhere and make money and push down your costs. We are talking about cutting costs. If you don't have to be in Lagos, please don't be in Lagos. Go to Nnewi, go to Uyo, go to Abakaliki, and ensure that the things that you need, internet connection, your profit is higher, and you just have every reason to smile for it. So the youth have taken over. We need to understand that. Government also understand that. That's why we're talking about the startup bill. And that's why even last year or 2 years ago, we talked about the Youth Investment Fund. I think that's about 75 billion, which everyone should take advantage of if you fall into that bracket. And a lot of opportunities also exist everywhere that you see. And they will tell you it's for people below 35 years. But some of us are very, very skeptical. We don't believe, but those things exist. I was still on Facebook yesterday and somebody was talking about Ewing. And she says people should start how they benefited from Ewing. And people were saying that they started their business with Ewing. Some people got 10 million, they got 4 million. And somebody was saying that he got that money 15 years ago and he has been able to do this and this and this for his business, for his family. But a lot of us are skeptical when we hear about those opportunities. You think they don't exist. They do exist. So let's take advantage of them. It is very, very important. Is Funke still there?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Seye Olurotimi. That was really, really, really loaded. And really, I like that part you said, Lagos is not Nigeria. So I think a lot of times we think that Lagos is Nigeria. So thank you for reminding all of us again that Lagos is not Nigeria. And for people saying, what are the opportunities in this year? You've heard, go to Nnewi, so Nnewi, here I come, okay? So my Nnewi people be expecting me. Abuja, here we come. We're already in Abuja, Uyo and Port Harcourt and Gombe. So, but the challenge will now be insecurity issues. But that's not a discussion for now, because we might just look at how can we address insecurity issues. I see a lot of questions in the chat room, and a lot is even directed to Smida. So we're going to give Mr. Evans Monday, Director Enterprise Development, Smidan, to look at some of those questions. And I know people want Smidan to talk, don't worry. But most of the questions that you've also put here, we'll collect the responses to the ones that we can address today and get back to you. Sir, Mr. Evans, sir, if you can hear me. Mr. Evans?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, sir. So we'd like you to address some of the concerns, questions raised in the chat room and in the Q&A corners for address to Smidan.
Okay, thank you very much, Funke. I've followed the discussion and conversation from the beginning. In fact, my chief executive raised the tone to a very high level, and I quite appreciate that, because what he said we're doing in Smidan is to support small businesses. And of course, for 2022, all we need to do is to continue to support small businesses, because when you talk about the diversification in the economy, it is the MSMEs that will drive it. Of course, the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 talks about diversifying the economy through massive MSME growth. Of course, if you don't support MSMEs, you might not achieve diversification that you really want to do. Of course, my chief executive also ruled out a lot of projects and programs that will run. to support small businesses. And of course, as an agency of government for supporting small businesses in Nigeria, we do those support through these are programs. Of course, they talked about opportunity fairs, all up, GS, CGS, and so on and so forth. Of course, I've gone through some of the questions highlighted in the Q&A segment. Of course, I saw one on CGS, the Conditional Grant Scheme for Micro Enterprises. Of course, as the DG said, the CGS program is targeted at micro enterprises to support them, to formalize them so that they can grow from micro to small to medium and then even to large enterprises. And of course, one of the components is related to support the grant of 50,000, as the DG said. One of the questions there, somebody was saying, I've not received my grant. I'm in one of those states, I've not received my grant. Of course, since we started the program, we partner with the financial institutions to do this grant thing. The beneficiaries are expected to open bank accounts with these banks, partner banks, and then the banks now remit the 50,000 grant to them directly. Of course, there have been challenges from the work in terms of BVN issues, account numbers, and so on and so forth. But I assure them that whatever challenge that is happening now, that we're sorting them out, and eventually all the participants will get the grant of 50,000 naira to manage their businesses, because that's the original idea. And of course, somebody was talking about access to finance, which is also very key for small businesses. Somebody was talking about how can SMEDAN support small businesses to have access to finance? Of course, as a date, the act that established SMEDAN is the SMEDAN Act 2003, although it has been amended along the line, even to amend it from SMEDA to SMEDAN, you know. And then one of the key issues in that act is that we facilitate access to funding, to finance. We are not a funding institution. We don't give direct funding for small businesses. But incidentally, we found out that this is an issue of giving financial assistance support to small businesses is also key. Though a lot of people will say, give me money, I can do anything. But if you have money and if you don't have the skills to manage the money, and even if you have the skills, you have the money, and if you don't have off-take issues in terms of markets, you're also not doing well. So going back to access to finance. Now, what we do is to partner with government institutions and private sector institutions like commercial banks to make sure that this funding is available to small businesses. But because our law does not really give us that power, so for the past 2 years, we've been trying to do a little review or amendment to our act so that we could be in a position to really support small businesses deliberately and directly. Of course, we did that. We passed our act through a repeal and reenactment through the National Assembly. It went up to the president, but the president didn't sign it for some of the reasons he mentioned. And of course, we're working on those reasons. And then very shortly, we are going back to the National Assembly to go through the whole process once again to make sure that the SMEDAN agency is in a position to support small businesses with their funding. Of course, the issue of capacity building is also key. So somebody was also asking, how can I benefit from the capacity building? Of course, ours is supply driven because we do all that from our statutory budget, the Appropriation Act, on yearly basis. And of course, from that, we have a deliberate process of selecting our participants, doing this assessment, doing the capacity building, and even follow-up processes. Now, for those people that are asking how they can benefit, they can, at least from the word, go from, because the year is just starting, they can get back to us so that we can put them in our database. Once the time is available, then we can still get back to them and do the necessary needs assessment and see how we can carry them along in our programs. But definitely for each participant, the participant for our program, will have a selection process to get them on board. As of now, these are the few issues I can see from the Q&A. If there are others, we can attend to them. Thank you so much. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Evans. Thank you so
Okay.
much for that, for giving us those for attending to those questions raised by the MSMEs. We will collect others and, send to Smidan. Smidan is always listening. So in our usual manner, we will put them together and share with the participants so they can have responses to these questions. So a few other things here that we will use to round up Seye and I. So I saw questions around youth. We have the large families of the youth. How can we harness the number and energy to young people to tackle the problem? I'm also aware that Smidan has some things they are doing for the youth. I'm correct, Mr. Evans? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So if you do not mind, so that we also know that Smidan is aligned to the youth, you may want to share some of the initiatives that Smidan has for the youth. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Funke. Of course, all our programs are targeted at the major vulnerable groups, especially the youths and the women. Talking about Opportunity First, a marketing platform for youths and women to display their products, exchange ideas, exchange knowledge. Talking about one local government, one product, which we're also supporting organic clusters, as the DG said, to make sure that cooperative societies that are into agro and agro-allied products are giving support to really scale their businesses. Even the conditional grant scheme, of course, the youth and women are also part of the nano and micro businesses, so they're also supported in that regard. The other one, the National Business Skill Development Initiative, the DG said, is a flagship program of the agency, which is talking about entrepreneurship training, vocational training, and empowerment with equipment. Of course, we did that last year in all the 36 states and FCT. And of course, it's a very large program which supported small businesses, especially the youths and the women. Of course, the other one he mentioned is the young business owners in Nigeria. Of course, the name implies that it's for the youth. So which means in this program, we're doing, apart from issues related to training, we're supporting these beneficiaries with workspace, because most of them have issues with workspace. They cannot pay for workspace and then most of them, if you don't have workspace, you might not be able to achieve what you need to achieve. So supporting their workspace, acquisition of workspace, or if you already acquired a workspace, we support you to make sure that it is sustainable. Of course, the matching fund thing that we're doing with Bank of Agriculture and Jayes Bank is also, it's a platform for ensuring that small businesses have access to funding. And of course, the issue of mindset, changing the mindset of people, is also targeted at the youth, students at the primary school, students at the secondary schools, and students at the tertiary institutions are mostly young people. So the program is targeted at making sure that they will change their attitude, change their mindset from a job-seeking thing to creation of jobs. And of course, all the supports are targeted at the youth to make sure that they're able to start jobs, they're able to scale, start new businesses, they're able to scale existing ones, to be able to achieve a job creation, work creation, and the poverty alleviation. Even the talent hunt program that DG mentioned is also part of it. In fact, for last year, we targeted the fashion, arts, and some of those creative arts sector, which essentially done by the youth and the women. So majority of our programs are targeted at the youth and the women. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. Now we begin to start winding up the program gradually. There are a number of questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Evans. So I can also see that you've addressed a lot of the pain points for the youth. So youths, you've seen that there are a lot of initiatives out there in this 2020 that you can leverage on. So we hope, if you have questions, well, how can we benefit from support workspace? We'll collect all the specific questions that we were unable to address now, and we will get them addressed. So, Mr. Seye, thank you so much, Mr. Evans. Mr. Seye,
thank you.
I want to address one or two questions from the Q&A platform also as we begin to start rounding up.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to navigate this Q&A. Okay. Is there any plan for start? So I have a question. Is there any plan for startups, people who just want to start a business and doesn't have the financial ability? Is there any plan for this set of people? So when you have an idea, when you think you want to start something and you don't have money, right? Like we all have rightly said, start with money from yourself, from family, and from friends. And sometimes there's nothing saying that that business idea you have cannot wait for another 2 years, right? So in those 2 years, why not pick a job and start saving? Because now everybody is saying, sack your boss, sack your boss, sack your boss, or just become an entrepreneur. Did you come and ask people who are entrepreneurs? Come and ask us, right? So when you think you just get out of school and the next thing you want to do is go start a business, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying sometimes you want to learn under someone. You want to gain some stability. You want to be able to save some money and then use that money to start your business, right? Then another thing you can do when you have an idea, we have angel investors, we have people that have the fund. What they need to see is that your idea is convincing enough and they're able to put their money in, but there's a science to it. There's a way you present to them and they believe in what you're doing. All right, so for that person, look at that idea. Can it wait? Can you develop yourself? Can you get some stability? Because before somebody invests in your business, they want to see what you have also put into it. If you ask me to come and put 5 million naira in your business, I will ask you yourself that you believe in that idea, how much have you put into it, right? And any person will ask you for that. So that's very, very important. And when you also talk about getting credit, I need to also address that. People talk about getting credit from bank or from wherever. There are 5 C's of credit that whoever wants to give you fund is looking for, right? The number one is called character. If you have not been known to manage fund well, you might not get another one, all right? So somebody from Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria was telling us at one event that even when you borrow credit from MTN, from Airtel, and you don't pay it back, it's part of your credit rating. You won't know, right? You borrow 1,000 naira only, and you don't pay it back. That thing is being recorded, right? It's part of your credit score. And so when you want to get a loan of 100,000 from a bank, they look at your credit score, they find out that you've been defaulting in one area or the other. So your character is questionable. That's number one. Another thing is capacity. What have you done before? Before you come and ask a bank or any organization for 10 million, what have you done with 1 million? Where are you starting from? So your capacity is also very important. Of course, conditions. What are the conditions attached to this particular loan I want to get this particular funding? I need to study the condition and be sure that I meet them. There is no need wasting your time and your effort when the conditions have been stipulated and you know that you don't meet them as of now. Don't go for it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the time of the organizers of that particular intervention. And of course, your capital. How much do you have as asset totally now before you start asking for a particular amount of money? So we need to start being sincere with ourselves. Before you start saying that the major problem of MSME, because almost every MSME that I come across think that their problem is funding. I quite agree that funding is a big deal, but apart from that, what are you also doing for other parts? In the area of capacity development, what are you doing for yourself? Are you developing yourself so that when you get the fund, you can manage it? Some people have not developed themselves. They have not gone through any training. We have a lot of trainings everywhere now that are, a lot of them are free. A lot of them are virtual, but people will not go for that. Or you are chasing fund. That when you get that fund, you are not able to manage your money. You are not able to manage it, and the business will crash. So let's embrace skills and capacity development. Let's ensure that we're keeping our records. Let's ensure that we are meeting the requirement to be able to access the funding that we've been asking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seye Olurotimi. So we start rounding up now, and I want to say a big thank you to you for your time. For DG. DG has interestingly stayed throughout the program, even though his schedule is very, very, very busy. We're going to be sharing some highlights as part of what we'll be sending to the participants. So we'll share, there's a video about SMEDAN and what SMEDAN is about, what SMEDAN does. We'll be sharing that also, so to educate us more about SMEDAN and to also see some of the opportunities and projects that are ongoing. We'll make the link available. It's also on their own social media handles, so you can leverage on the different opportunities available out there. For us at Leapword, it's been a pleasure also doing this. And you can check us. There's been some things that we've put out there. We have a community for businesses. So happy to have you on board. The link has been shared. You can join the community for support, whether both online or offline. MSME Africa also is very heavy on MSME community support. I are also welcome to join most of the session. There's also a session coming up on Saturday, specifically talking about funding. So it would be great to have as many people there as much as possible. A number of things we do at Leap World. We provide business development support services for small businesses. Of course, I'm happy that Mr. Johnson Chukwu mentioned that it's good to have people on your board. We can also help you look at your business and put a board for small businesses for you. We all need the support. That's the truth. Even consultants need consultants. I mean, Mr. Seye, consultants even need support because we know a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of, because you can't know it all. And even if you know a lot, you can't do it all by yourself. So we need to leverage on that support system. We have to leverage on partnership this year. For me, in all the summary that we've been saying, we need to make the money and reduce our costs. And those are the things we should start thinking about. Okay, I love what I call the KISS approach, K-I-C. See, okay, some people say keep it short and simple, but in keeping it short and simple, I usually do a simple review with my team, and I encourage a lot of business to do it. I use it at my strategy session also. I'll say KISS, just KISS it. K is what should we keep doing? And I, what should we improve on? S, what should we stop doing? And the last S, what should we start doing? So you have to always KISS it at every point in time. A KISS it model for me helps me to review options from time to time. It helps me to look at my strategy. I always want to just KISS it. What should I keep doing? What should I improve on? What should I stop doing? And what should I start doing? Whether for our personal lives, whether for our businesses. I found it to be very helpful. I've gotten a lot of testimonial around it, and I will encourage us to always try and KISS it every point in time to help our businesses. We're happy to support your business. We have co-workspace for people that would like to partner with us in that area. We also have training facilities for people that would like to leverage on that. We have a studio for people that want to record courses or content. We can help you create. And of course, we help to access funding. We work with Bank of Industry, we work with World Bank, we work with Smithan. So we're happy to listen to you. Everybody on this panel has listening ears. We are all here to make the MSME ecosystem better. We have passion for it, and we are very happy here to provide the necessary support. And for the youths, we want to leverage on your energy. Currently, we have a program running on the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, USADF, program. And I'm sure some of our youth are also on this program. And I want to believe they've benefited a lot. I want to believe that they've also been very supportive. So the youth indeed have a lot of energy. We have to together put it to fantastic and great use. Not only, well, I'm a very patriotic Nigerian. I'm here, I also feel all the pain. But sometimes I want to encourage us to say, not only to say, what can my country do for me? But we can say, what can I also do for my country? Yes, if all of us contribute our quota, we'll better perhaps have a better Nigeria, have a better MSME ecosystem, have a better us. You know, I can't control what another person does, but I can control what I do. And if we all bring our best to the table, I'm sure it will be cumulatively good for all of us. So I want to say a big thank you for everybody that has stayed on as we wrap the program. And I would like Mr. Evans will give us the parting shot and we can close. But if you have further questions, feel free to reach out to us. Check our social media handles. We're on Twitter. Our Twitter is open now, so we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can go to our website. And Smithan is listening. MSME Africa is listening. Leap World is listening. And we're here to give you the right support to make the ecosystem, like the DG will say, the MSME of our dreams, okay? So thank you, everyone. So Mr. Evans, we'd like to hear your voice once again as you give the parting shots.
Yeah, thank you so much, Funke. It's been nice being on this program, at least getting to talk to MSMEs, those people that are prospective, that are those people, and those people that are already doing something in terms of scaling and so on. Of course, much has been said related to access to finance, skills development, markets, government intervention, reduction of costs, and so on and so forth. These are things that small businesses must do in 2022 to stay afloat. And then luckily, there are so many prospects for small businesses to grow this year because there are prospects of GDP growth, the reduction in inflation, exchange rate will be stable, and so on and so forth. So these things are there to support small businesses. And then SMEDAN on its own, as the sole government agency for supporting small businesses, are there to support small businesses to the best of our technical ability, resource ability, and so on and so forth. So for this 2022, I wish all MSMEs well. I pray that they will have to make use of their brains, make use of their intellect, make use of their skills to power their businesses. And of course, for us as SMEDAN, we continue to support them. And of course, the government is also there to support them. We have the National Economic Sustainability Plan. We have the Finance Act to support them. We have even the budget for 2022 signed by the president is also there to support small businesses. So I'm appealing to them to do their best to make sure that they align with all these policies to grow their businesses to the level that we expect, so that at the end of the day, we collectively will build MSME of our dream for this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. Thank you very much, Mr. Seye Olurotimi. Thank you for everyone that has joined us. We can take the discussion further. And from time to time, we'll be having a webinar series. Watch out next. We're going to review some of those policies like the Finance Act. We're going to be looking at the CAMA also, because a lot of opportunities actually for MSMEs out there that can save us costs that the government doesn't require us to do anymore. And we look at what is happening globally. So we'll be reaching out to all of us again. And most importantly for me is to leverage on our network. This has happened because we're an ecosystem, we're a network. Let's leverage on it. If the domestic market, the banks are stifling, having challenges giving us money, what happens to us forming cooperatives? What happens to us bringing pool of funds together and structuring all those friends and families' money and putting them in a structured form for us to be able to leverage on, even to sell more? Because everything at the end of the day is, how do I make my top line sales to increase? So that means we have to sell more and we have to leverage on our communities. And how do I reduce my cost in the middle? And that will help my bottom line, my profit to be very well. So thank you once again, everyone. You can join the community. The link has been shared. If you have further questions, we'll be happy to reach out to you. Thank you very much once again. Have a wonderful afternoon and see you some other time. Thank you. Bye. So our panelists, it's okay to say bye to our wonderful participants. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.